Gun finna jump for the shit. All top when I speak, all cap with the speech till they caught up in the rapture. I'm so out of line with the phrase game. Let's take a break, been a long day. Hit your line, what you fall through with the nightsticks. Maybe help me spark the ideas. We got nowhere else to go, it's only up from there. I've been on my own, just running through the fields. Very vivid for the ears, I know that's how they like it. Yeah.
You know, I just went through the drive-through line to get the Travis Scott burger. And that was gonna be the intro for the video, the Travis Scott burger. And I get up to the drive-through, and I'm all excited. I'm gonna vlog this, you know. Do my order, pull around the corner, pass by the payment window, bag it up, look at my camera. I didn't record it.
Behind it, why the suspicious behind the eyelid. Tell her reckless with the clauses, careful with it cost me. Need this shit forever, but I never ever stop until they put me in the coffin or they off me. Fuck niggas quick to auction, they false print. Always treat this shit with a caution, hold it 10 toes.
I don't think you guys understand how pissed off I am with that intro, because I was literally supposed to just... Nonetheless, I know people say McDonald's is like not good and it's bad for you and all these other things, but the Travis Scott burger is actually pretty good. Yeah. I mean, you may need 2 of them to fill you up, but it's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, today I want to talk about the 85mm and really just why it's such a good lens. This guy right here. To start it off, look at that. Is that not pretty cool? That's a lot of glass right there. That's a lot of glass. As I was doing research for this vlog, because, you know, I kind of just want to give you a little bit more of an insight on things which is beyond what I know sometimes, so I go get more information. And I found out that this lens lets in more light than the 50mm. I didn't know that. So between this one and the one that I have on the camera right there, both of them being a 1.4, no, well, the one on the camera is 1.2. Both 1.4, the 85 and the 50mm, the 85 is gonna let in more light. Why? Here's how. They said to divide the focal length by the aperture. And if you do that on the 85 divide 1.4, you get 60.7 or something like that. And then if you do the same thing with the 50mm divide 1.4, you get 30 something. I'm doing this off the top of my head. That's how much light is gonna be let into the camera. Oddly enough, this bad boy is gonna be better in low light. Didn't know that. Check it out. That's what happens when you do your research. To be honest, I grabbed this lens, this 85, way more than I grabbed my 50mm. Why? Because the 50 it's just something about it that I don't really like per se. Like, I like the results of the 85 better because it doesn't distort the face, if that makes sense. The 50 doesn't distort it that much, but the 85 kind of just keeps it looking more natural, if that makes sense. With this one, the detail on it is just better because of the higher focal length, which means it's gonna have more compression. That background, that creamy bokeh, is gonna be higher in this one than it will be in the 50mm. So just keep that in mind. Now, I only grab this if I have the space to do so, because keep in mind, you have to be further back from the subject to use this. Whereas with the 50mm, you can get a little bit closer than you can with this one. So if you don't have the space for it, or if I don't have the space for it, I'm gonna grab my 50mm, you know, and I'll work with it. But it's just, I love the 85 so much more than the 50 at this point, because I mean, have you not seen the results that have been shown across the screen? Yeah. Yeah. What this lens can be used for, this lens can be used for pretty much anything you want to. You don't believe me? Check it out. Headshots. Duh. Portraits? Yeah. Landscape. Yep. Sports. Heck yeah. Come on. Weddings. Without a doubt. I mean, that's pretty much what I do. Like, come on. Macro. Shaky. It's a little shaky. It's a little shaky. It's a little shaky. Here's why I say that the 85 isn't that good for macro. This lens is specific. You can only get so close before it doesn't focus anymore. Focal range on this camera is, I'm not really sure, I have to look it up. Once you get that subject so close to the lens, it stops focusing because it can't. It's just like your eye. If you bring your hand to your eye and you bring your hand to your eye, you know, at some point your eyes can't focus anymore. It just becomes blurry. Like you can't do it. Same thing with this lens or any lens, pretty much. Some of them you can get closer than others, but this one you're kind of limited. So just keep that in mind. You can get detailed shots, but you can only get so close. Let's jump back to sports. I'll choose this lens over the 50mm because you can get closer. All right. Close enough to where you can see the detail and the player and whatnot, but also you're far back enough. I mean, you can still be far back enough to where you're not in the way, you know. Whereas the 50mm, it's just too wide. Like you're not gonna be able to single out a specific player unless you do some major cropping on there, and nobody wants to crop. Let's just be honest. And you know, this vlog isn't meant to be like as detailed. It's just be quick run through as to why you should have it or why you should consider it, because I love it. Like I said, I love it better than my 50. It's pretty much neck and neck with my 35mm. It's a neck and neck thing. So who is this lens for? Well, if any of those that I mentioned earlier, portrait, landscape, headshots, weddings, events, what was the other one? Sports. This is your lens. With it being a 1.4, you can get that low light. And also remember, with it being an 85, you get more light let into the camera. Remember, I just learned that, so I feel kind of cool to be able to share that with you. Anyway, so yes, 85mm is a no-brainer. Now, this specific lens is an L lens, so the glass on it is way better than any other lens you're gonna get from Canon that's not an L lens. So with that being said, there is a cheaper model. It's called the Canon 1.8. So with a 1.8, your focal length isn't as, not your focal length, your aperture isn't as wide, you know? So it's not gonna let in as much light as the 1.4, but it's still going to be able to handle most ideal low light situations. With it being an 85, it's still gonna let in more light than a 50. And that still just blows my mind. I never would have thought. So if this is in your budget, I really recommend you getting it, because I have no complaints about it whatsoever. Actually, I lied, I do. Only complaint I don't like is the fact that I can only get so close. But let's just be honest, if I'm getting that close, I might as well get a macro. I'm just saying. And a macro lens isn't that expensive. They have like different versions, but yeah, 85mm is a no-brainer. So just cop it if you can. If you can't, get the 1.8. And 85mm would be your best friend. I mean, portraits, headshots, landscapes, sports, weddings/events. This is your guy. You know, if I had to choose between this and the 50 to take to a wedding, I'm gonna take this. If I had to choose between this and any other lens in my bag to a sports event, I'm probably gonna take this. For basketball, that is. If I had to choose between any lens to get headshots, without a doubt, it's gonna be this. Portraits, that's between the 35 and this one. But I really like this lens, and I do not regret buying it. I am glad that I did. This was the last lens that I bought before I left my job. And I did that intentionally because I knew I was gonna spend that money somewhere else on something that I don't need. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And while you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Let's put it on this side. On Instagram at Fatherrdiff. And let me know what you use your 85mm lens for, or whether or not you're considering getting it yourself, or even some things that I may have left out that the 85mm lens can do. Let's just chop it up from time to time. Until next time, I am out. Travis got me. If it ain't good, we're gonna have a problem.